7 victims, a lethal chemical, and horrifying letters from the criminal. Today's video is about the chilling Chicago Tylenol murders of 1982. September 29, 1982 marked the beginning of a nightmare. In a span of 3 days, 7 people, including a 12-year-old girl, fell victim to cyanide-laced Tylenol. The case caught the authorities' eyes when 3 of the 7 victims turned out to be from the same family. As the numbers increased, all of Chicago was gripped with fear. It began with the inexplicable deaths of innocent victims and soon escalated into a nationwide crisis. What followed next was a frenzy of police announcements and large-scale Tylenol recalls. But the question was, who would do such a horrifying thing? What were the motives behind this sheer terrorizing act? Stick around as we dig deeper into the Chicago Tylenol murder cases and the strange suspect behind them. It was a regular Tuesday morning when 12-year-old Mary Kellerman asked her parents for a painkiller because she wasn't feeling well. Her mother thought nothing of it and gave her an extra-strength Tylenol. However, only a few minutes later, she collapsed and was hospitalized. She died the next day. In another part of the Chicago suburb, 27-year-old Janice woke up with a cold. He then took 2 extra-strength Tylenol caps to feel better. But instantly, he also convulsed to death, leaving his wife and 2 small children behind. When Adam's family came over to grieve, his brother and sister-in-law had a headache, so the couple took 2 Tylenol caps from the same bottle as Adam's, and both had similar fate as him. His brother died the same day, while his sister-in-law fought for 2 more before her final breath. The death of 3 members of the same family caught the authorities' attention. The authorities then sent Arlington Heights' only public health official, Nurse Helen Jensen, to investigate the crime scene. Upon entering the house, she discovered the extra-strength Tylenol bottle with a receipt, which indicated that it had been purchased the same day as the Janice family's deaths. Studying the bottle, she found that 6 of the pills were missing. This made her suspicious, and she thought it might be related to the Janice family deaths. Without wasting more time, she handed the bottle to investigator Nick Pichos. After evaluating the situation, Nick then reached out to Dr. Edmund Donahue, Cook County's Deputy Chief Medical Examiner, for a more in-depth analysis of the medication. Upon examining the bottle, the doctor suspected cyanide might have caused the deaths. Because of this, he asked Pichos to smell the bottle to confirm whether his suspicion was true. An eerie, bitter, almond-like odor was evident. It was a sinister clue, hinting at a hidden threat. Donahue summoned Michael Schaffer, the county's chief toxicologist, and his dedicated team as suspicions grew. They then discovered that each of the remaining 44 capsules from the Janice Tylenol bottle contained nearly 3 times the fatal amount of cyanide. With the dawn of a new day, authorities grasped the severity of the situation. Swift action was needed to protect the public. A press conference was arranged, and a stark warning resounded. Tylenol was announced as unsafe for consumption. Panic and fear rippled across the nation, but they were unaware of the impact these events would have on the public. It was the beginning of a nationwide crisis, and there was more to be revealed about this lethal medicine. Stay tuned to find what other horrifying truths the authorities were about to uncover. By a twist of fate, the Tylenol bottle 12-year-old Mary Kellerman had used was among the medical supplies documented by the paramedics. The investigators immediately caught a crucial connection. Both the Janice and Kellerman bottles originated from the same lot, MC2880. it was time to take nationwide action, so the manufacturers of the drug, Johnson & Johnson, were notified. Without wasting more time, the company called for a recall of all Tylenol products from lot MC2880. The shadow of fear cast by these events would soon expand as more tainted bottles from different lots surfaced. 3 more deaths would occur before the gravity of the situation would truly hit Chicago authorities. Mary Reiner had recently given birth and was given Tylenol to support her postpartum recovery. The same evening, Paula Prince, a flight attendant, landed in Chicago after a long flight and bought the painkillers from Walgreens. Both Reiner and Prince would face a lethal fate as a result of taking the medication. Another victim was Mary McFarland, a single mom who worked at a shopping center to make ends meet. She was having a migraine during her dinner break and took 2 Tylenol capsules, only to die moments later. As time passed, more chilling revelations were made. The pills found in McFarland's possession were traced back to lots 1910MD and MB2738. Every extra-strength capsule, regardless of the lot it hailed from, purchased within the Chicago area was now under scrutiny. This recall would go down in history as one of the most significant and far-reaching pharmaceutical recalls ever recorded. Later, a multi-agency investigation revealed the presence of tampered pills on the shelves and in the hands of unsuspecting Chicago citizens. The poison had infiltrated various stores across the city, including one Jewel Foods in Arlington Heights and another in Elk Grove Village, an Osco drugstore in Schaumburg, and both Walgreens and Dominique's stores in Chicago. Even Frank's Finer Foods in Winfield fell victim to this insidious plot. Upon the worsening situation, Johnson & Johnson had to take proactive measures to prevent further damage. For public reassurance, the Tylenol manufacturer warned hospitals and distributors to ban the product and advertising of Tylenol. The crisis got out of hand following revelations made by the police investigations that had been taking place. They found out the capsules had been manufactured in 2 different areas, Pennsylvania and Texas. This further showed that after their manufacturing, someone took the capsule bottles from local stores in the Chicago area, placed potassium cyanide in some of the capsules, and then placed the packages back in the store shelves to be purchased by unknowing customers. In addition to the 5 bottles that led to the victims' deaths, few other contaminated bottles were later discovered in the Chicago area. In early 1983, the FBI, in collaboration with Chicago Tribune columnist Bob Greene, disclosed the address and grave location of the first victim, Mary Kellerman, hoping this might lure the perpetrator. Both sites were under 24-hour video surveillance for months, but the killer did not surface. Amid the Tylenol poisonings investigation, Johnson & Johnson received letters from James William Lewis confessing to tampering with the capsules. He also demanded $1 million in his letters to stop the terrorism. Ultimately, he became a suspect even though he had no ties to Chicago and permanently lived in New York. He was arrested for extortion, serving 13 years in prison alongside other unrelated sentences. Despite Lewis' arrest, police failed to link any suspects conclusively to the Tylenol murders, leaving the case unsolved. During the investigation, the FBI requested DNA samples from another terrorist criminal, the Unabomber Ted Kaczynski, making him a possible suspect. The main reason was that he had terrorized the same area a few years earlier. However, Kaczynski denied any involvement with the potassium cyanide case. Parallel to this investigation, another individual, Roger Arnold, a dock worker at a Jewel Osco store, found himself under the harsh glare of police scrutiny due to his possession of potassium cyanide. A bar owner named Marty Sinclair raised the alarm, citing Arnold's erratic behavior and unsettling discussions about a mysterious white powder. The connections grew more sinister when it was revealed that Arnold had ties to one of the victims, Reiner, through their workplace and possessed a book containing instructions on crafting cyanide. Was Arnold the killer who had taken so many lives? What were his motivations? Keep watching to find out. Though Arnold faced multiple detentions by the police, formal charges were never filed. In a tragic twist of fate, in the summer of 1983, Arnold mistakenly took the life of a man named Janice, confusing him for the bar owner Marty Sinclair. Arnold was convicted of second-degree murder in 1984, serving 15 years of his 30-year sentence. His remorse for the innocent life he had taken weighed heavy on his conscience, and he passed away in June 2008. In a final attempt to solve the lingering mystery, Arnold's remains were exhumed in 2010 for DNA testing. However, the results failed to link him to the DNA samples discovered on the poisoned Tylenol bottles. Ultimately, the truth behind the terrifying Tylenol murder poisonings remained as elusive as ever, leaving a chilling mystery in the records of criminal history. Unfortunately, none of the new leads have given substantial results, and the investigation continues. Lewis served over 12 years in prison for sending the extortion note to Johnson & Johnson, demanding $1 million to stop the killing. However, he always denied any involvement in the Tylenol deaths. His complex history of legal troubles, frequent moves, and job changes painted a puzzling portrait of a man who escaped connections to the chilling poisonings. While Lewis remained the suspect, he maintained his innocence, even crafting a website claiming he had been framed. In 2010, he provided DNA samples to the FBI, but they failed to link him to the crime. The case of the Tylenol murders continues to be a perplexing and unsolved mystery, leaving a chilling legacy of terror and uncertainty. And as we wrap up this video, remember to stay safe out there.